Rebecca Mark, Vice President of Research at Porter Novelli, and I think a lot of what I'm going to be talking about really mirrors what Allison just talked about as well. I do a lot of programs and projects with our clients to look at audience research, right? So how do you actually talk to people, either donors or communities that you're looking to work with? How do you find the thing that you're going to be able to talk about so that it actually hits? It actually resonates with them, they internalize it, they see it as part of their own foundational value system, and take it forward. And I've got a nice little slide deck. I think what I'm hoping to do, because I know that we've had a lot of presentations today, is I can maybe run a little bit of a mini focus group with you guys, if that works. Perfect. So quick question, how many people have been involved with audience research? Have either done focus groups, have participated in focus groups, watched them? Awesome, a lot of folks out here have. I think one of the things that we really try to ensure that people recognize is that, like Allison mentioned, you can do massive large-scale projects where you're setting out a very rigorous methodology, you're doing huge focus groups, you're doing smaller focus groups, you've got tens of thousands of dollars of budget, and you're really looking to have a broad impact. Or you can do something a little bit more do-it-yourself, right? And I think what makes sense with this conversation is to give you a couple of the tools that help you do it yourself. So on the next slide, what I've done, I actually have the next slide, great, is just included a couple of those questions that maybe you can use when you're thinking about the populations that you want to be influencing to help kick off what I'll call these mini focus groups. One of the things that I would mention is when you're doing mini focus groups or when you're trying to find how you can talk about something in a way that's going to resonate with your audience, it's really important to find people who don't look like you. So when you go out and you pick your participants, maybe find someone who's 20 years younger or 20 years older. Maybe find someone who's a different gender or a different race. You want to try to start talking to people about your programs who look like the populations you're actually trying to impact, as opposed to the people who are designing the programs all of the time. I've got 3 different buckets up here of questions that if you follow this guide, or if you start thinking about questions in this way, it helps you just start that conversation with people. So the first place that I like to start when designing my focus groups, and where Porter Novelli likes to start when designing their focus groups, is really getting into the mindset of the individuals that you're trying to convince, right? What are they thinking about on a day-to-day basis that's not necessarily about your program, it's not necessarily about your thing, but it just gets you thinking about where they're at. What is their value set? What's their foundation? What do they care about? What keeps them up at night? What this does is it helps you frame up the thing that you care about in their own language, in their own terms, in their own value set. Once you really understand where they're coming from, how they're approaching something, I'd like to start getting into your messages. So maybe you give someone a piece of paper that has a lot of different messages that you've been working on, or a brochure of what you're looking to do, have them watch a video, and have them actually tell you what's working and what's not working. What do they like? What's resonating? What don't they care about? Have them give you honest feedback and really listen to what they have to say. And then maybe have them sell the thing back to you, right? So I want to convince this behavior change. I want to get you to stop smoking. You tell me why you should stop smoking, or you tell me why you should recycle, or you tell me why you should go to the doctors every year. Get the person that you're talking to actually sell the program back to you. What that does is it allows you to start hearing the words, the terminology, the phrasing that's going to work better when it comes to your own programs. And then last but not least, just in terms of these general buckets of what you can be doing when you're running your own focus group, is to really think about those trusted messengers. I think everyone who's run focus groups, and Allison, I'm sure you've seen this as well, will get a new client. They'll be really excited about this key spokesperson that they've just brought in. They really want to go in hard with this key spokesperson. But as you start talking to the actual audiences that spokesperson is supposed to be talking to, you find, the audience doesn't really like them that much. And in fact, they're not even that trusting of what the person is saying. I had this happen recently with a client where the client really wanted to put forward this kind of elitist, academic scientist to tell groups of vulnerable populations how to do a behavior change, right? Something around public health. And when we started looking at it, we realized, and when we started actually asking our audiences about it, what do you hear as this person is talking to you? it wasn't anything close to what our client was hoping that they heard, right? They see a face that maybe doesn't look like them or that uses the wrong words, and it just automatically churns them off to anything else that that person is trying to say. And when you're thinking about the very large-scale programs that you're running and the very impactful programs that you're trying to run, you don't want to lose your audience by the person that you put out there, right? You want to have someone who is able to communicate with your audience or is using the words that's going to actually bring that audience over to you, so that you don't lose them before that point, so that they actually listen to what you're trying to do and they can start to internalize it for their own thing. So those are my basic focus group questions. I would encourage you, as you are thinking through your own programs that you're working on, think about the priority audiences that it's going to take to actually accomplish your goals, right? Who are you trying to convince? Think about those audiences, think about the prioritization on them, and then think about doing some audience research, either via mini focus groups like what I just described, or with a more strategic and yeah, you know, with a process that's a bit more laid out and nuanced, which there are a number of firms that help with that as well. And if we're still sticking with the DIY research piece, I think one of the things that's really exciting about technology and research is that it has really started to make it feasible for a lot of different groups of people to do research, right? So people and organizations that don't necessarily have a large budget, but who still need to find the insights from research. So what I've done up here is thrown up a couple of different companies or couple of different research firms that I love in terms of helping take people through the research process. These are, I call them the do-it-yourself type research vendors because they have modules and tools online so you can learn more about things like how to structure a focus group, how to structure a survey. They're panel platforms so you can get really niche-y in terms of the audiences that you're talking to. A lot of these folks have great international capabilities as well. So I'm always surprised when I get a new project and it's like, we want you to talk to women in rural Kenya. You can do that, right? You can get research firms to do something like that. These are the types of firms that can help you. I think Allison and my firm are probably firms that can help with that as well. But just a couple of those great resources and tools. And I know we haven't had a lot of time for questions, and I tried to speed quickly through my presentation. But if there's questions for Allison or, Sandy or myself, happy to take the last 3 minutes or so to answer questions.